Hi, thank you for volunteering with a child event at St. Luke's Episcopal Church. I am grateful for your ministry and for your willingness to serve. The purpose of this short video is to refresh us all on our safeguarding policies. Safeguarding is a collection of policies for the church that seeks to make sure every individual, and particularly the most vulnerable and marginalized, are kept safe in our church, at our school, at all our events. Safeguarding calls us all to a certain standard of conduct, a conduct that reflects our belief that every person is created in the image of God and is due the dignity that comes with that created image. This is particularly true of our children, who are indeed marginalized and vulnerable by virtue of their age. We want to make sure at St. Luke's that we follow these policies as best we can, that we hold one another to account, that we remind one another why we are following these policies. After all, it was Jesus himself who took the children around him and said, "Suffer the little children to come unto me," who calls us all to care for them, lest a millstone be tied around our neck. A few reminders of our policies. First, please remember the 2-adult rule. Never be alone with a child. Always have another adult with you, or at least a trained teenager with you. This is really important, not only for the safety of the child, but also for your safety. Please stay in visible and public areas when supervising children. If you find that you need to step aside into an area that is maybe not so visible and not so public, grab another adult and take them along with you. If that is not possible, grab a group of children. Never be alone with a child one-on-one. Always be aware of where you are. Many of our doors have glass in them to make sure that we can stay in public view. Not all of them do, though. So if you find yourself in a space that is maybe a little more concealed, seek to be in a more open space where others can see you and come to your assistance. Restroom supervision is probably the hardest way to implement this rule. We want to be sure to escort children to restrooms in pairs or in groups. The door should be left open. You should stand in the doorway. Never enter the restroom alone with a child. It is important that you supervise children in the restrooms. Sometimes there can be inappropriate behavior among children in restrooms, and so our goal is to keep that interaction safe. Again, take another adult with you. Go with a helper so that you both can take care of this task together. Preschoolers may need help, will likely need help after they have used the restroom. Please help them in a visible setting. Again, door open, a second adult nearby. That will keep you safe, that will keep the child safe. Check in and check out policies. We will release children only to adults authorized on their registration forms. If they are a student at the school and if school is in session, they will be released to their teachers. But if this is an event where children are being dropped off, we will release only to adults on the registration form. This includes adults whom the child knows. So the child may know an adult, but if that adult is not on the registration form, we will not release the child to that adult. This is to keep the child safe. We do not know what goes on in family lives, so we want to be very clear that we will only release children to adults on the registration form. Behavior and discipline. Children are children, which means children act up. And it's actually a good sign. It's a sign that they feel safe. It's a sign that they feel like they can be themselves. If they don't feel like they have to be on their best behavior, they don't have to be scared of repercussions, that's a good thing. It means they feel safe. And yet we want the kids to follow our rules in order to remain safe, right? In behavior and discipline, always use positive guidance and reinforcement. That means redirect, encourage, help them see things differently, set clear expectations. Some of our children may have sensory issues or neurodivergent issues. Those kids in particular may have a harder time regulating all of those emotions inside them. They may need some time away. consider inviting them to take a little walk around the room with you, to have some quiet time, perhaps away from the other kids. Take another adult with you, and in that conversation, ask them what they're feeling. Ask them to use their words. Help them to process all of those big emotions in them. If you have questions about how to do this, I encourage you to ask some of our teachers, in particular our assistant director at the day school, Sally Schmidt, who is very skilled in this area. We never use physical punishment. We never use yelling. We never use humiliation or threats. Please report any ongoing behavioral issues to event leadership. It may be that the event is not a good fit for the child, and we may need to call a parent or a guardian and ask them to come pick up the child. However, that is a decision for event leadership in collaboration with staff. It's not a decision you can make on your own. In every interaction, please remember to have appropriate boundaries. Some rules of thumb here: no roughhousing, no tickling, no lap sitting, no secret gifts or secret messages. All of this may seem rather innocent and naive, and yet we also know that this can be a sign of predatory behavior. And so it's best for us as a church and school to just say, we do not do that, period. Physical touch should always be public, appropriate, and child-initiated. That child-initiated bit is particularly important. A child may run up to you and want a hug. For goodness sake, hug the child. Get down on their level. Offer them a brief hug. Give them some words of encouragement and send them on their way. If you would like to have an interaction, a physical interaction with the child, consider a high five. If the child wants to give you a hug, he or she will give you a hug. But a high five is always appropriate and encouraged. Media use and phones. Some of our parents or guardians do not want pictures or videos of their children on the internet. We want to respect that. So please do not take any photos, do not take any videos of children unless you are authorized to do so. Do not post any photos or videos to social media unless you are authorized to do so. Those authorized to do so will know which parents would prefer their children not be on the internet. That information can be found on the registration form. Please keep phones on silent and use your phone only during breaks or emergencies. Of course, things come up and you may need to step aside. I recognize that. That's perfectly fine. If that's the case, take your phone call and rejoin us as soon as you can. However, it's really important for us to give our undivided and complete attention to the children. It tells them they are important, that we are there for them, that we love them, and that they are worth all of our attention. If you can hear the folks outside, I apologize. Today's shower day. Report any concerns about suspected abuse, neglect, or boundary violations to event leadership. I mean this in a couple of ways. First, if you see a fellow volunteer who may have forgotten some of the policies, let's say Mr. Jones tickles the child, briefly remind Mr. Jones, hey, Mr. Jones, we have a rule, we don't do that. This is why. It's hard, we forget things. We're all human. Briefly remind Mr. Jones, set that expectation, and then go ahead and tell VBS leadership or your event leadership. If you see an adult by themselves with a child, go to that adult's aid. It may be they could not find another adult when they need it. So I encourage you, pitch in, go to their aid. If you suspect, however, abuse, neglect, boundary violations from a different setting, perhaps in the child's home, it's really important you report that to the director. Signs of that might be, for example, physical markings on the child's body, or perhaps over-sexualized or overly intimate behavior that is not developmentally appropriate. If you see that, or if you have any concerns, please go to your event director and let them know. In the state of Arkansas, we are mandated reporters. We must report concerns to authorities. Remember, you are not called to investigate. You are only called to report any concerns. You don't have to be, you shouldn't be 100% sure. If you have a concern, say something. Health and safety. We will make sure you know where first aid and emergency kits are. They will be near the event area. We want to be sure to follow any allergy and medical instructions carefully on each child's file. Your director will have that information. If there is an accident or an incident, we want to log that in writing so that we can notify parents and guardians both about what happened and how we followed up with that incident. By volunteering, you agree to all of these policies. I am going to ask that you complete the Google form in the link attached to this video so that we know you have watched this video all the way through. And I hope that you will all remember why we do these policies. It's not about being overly strict. Rather, it's about making sure we treat each person, and especially each child, in the way God calls us to treat one another as fellow human beings created in His image. God bless you for your work. Thank you for your service. I appreciate all you do for St. Luke's and St. Luke's School.